want to, before I make a contribution, I want to share an encounter I had today in the canteen. And one of the service officers I was speaking to, which I hadn't seen in a considerable amount of time, but we were speaking today, and John actually said he could mention his name here today, but I said, I haven't seen you in a while, John, but he said he was very, very, very sick in relation to COVID, and it was very touch and go whether he lived or died, and he lived, but he wants to say to all the staff in the Mater Hospital that saved his life, a big thank you. And it just shows you, you know, through this pretty awful virus, that there is people that survived it and can tell the story. So I just wanted to start with that good news story. And I think, Minister, I can say for a lot of people that people are fatigued and they're weary in relation to this virus. But also there's a resilience, a collective resilience going on that has brought us through the worst ravages of this pretty awful disease. And I think whatever we do next, Minister, you know, things hangs in the balance. And this virus has shown itself to be very adaptable. And we have to be adaptable with the virus. And there's also, there's almost a counter-attack in relation to this virus, in relation to the world. And we need to attack it as well, because it is like a war situation. And I want to be constructive rather than destructive in relation to this, and I tried to do that as much as I can, because it's the collective effort that will get us through the pretty dark days of this pretty dire virus. But I think there's a number of issues that needs to be kind of looked at, and that's in relation to contact tracing in schools, which I think the government have kind of let their guard down. Walk-in PCR testing, which I think they've let their kind of guard down in relation to that. Ventilation, which many of us have said that, again, hasn't really been taken as serious as it can be, because even in here, I mean, there's ventilation, a lot of the windows are open, and they're open for one reason, because it's obviously it's a viral condition, and the more fresh air that comes into a building, you know, the better chances that, you know, people don't contract the disease. There's also mixed messages about antigen testing. There's quite a kind of ambiguity in relation to that, whether people will use them or not use them, what situation they use them. And I think they're a good tool to have in the arsenal against this disease. I mean, I'll make that comparison. It's like hand-to-hand combat. You know, you kind of sometimes you need that antigen test to them test kits, and I think they should be freely available. I know you've made a kind of on the radio a few days ago about relation to the costs, but I think that's open for a question in relation to that. Also, pop-up centres. I think pop-up centres at the height of the pandemic were really, really successful. I think a lot of people use them, and I think they're very, very, very useful in relation to this. And just my last point in relation to ICU capacity. I mean, I just want to run this kind of, how would you say, this movie forward. And I don't want to be pessimistic, but if the worst ravages of this condition, of this disease, in relation to NEFIT projections, if it was to go to 400 to 500 in ICU, then we would have a serious problem in this country. We would have a problem where doctors and nurses would have to choose in relation to those that get ventilation or those that don't. And that's a pretty dire situation that hopefully never, ever happens. But if it does, Minister, we don't have that capacity. And that's through historical legacies of cuts throughout kind of the last 25 years in relation to public health. So when we come out of this, which we will, and we'll come out a stronger people, stronger, everybody will come out stronger, because that's, who we are, and that's that makes us good. But one thing, Minister, that will come out of all this is about health and access to health. I don't know about your ideological position in relation to public health and private health. My ideological position is categorically, I am for a one-tier health system, not a two-tier health system, not a system of private insurance. I'm for a system such as the NHS, not perfect by any means, but that's the system that produces better results for everybody. And hopefully at the end of all this, that we can say we have an Irish health system that gives to everybody, regardless if you're on social welfare or a millionaire. Thank you.
Thank you.